What if I told you that the universe is not infinite in its freedom? That there exists a hard, unbreakable boundary woven directly into the fabric of reality itself. A boundary that does not care about intelligence, technology, ambition, or power. A boundary so fundamental that even time bows before it. That boundary is the speed of light. Most people think the speed of light is simply how fast light travels. A number you memorize in school, a constant written in textbooks. But that belief is dangerously incomplete, because the speed of light is not really about light at all. It is about how reality communicates with itself. It is the maximum speed at which cause can lead to effect, at which information can move, and at which the universe can remain logically consistent. To understand why this limit exists, we must first abandon human intuition. Intuition evolved in a slow world, a world where distances are short, speeds are tiny, and time feels absolute. In that world, faster just means better. More power means more speed. No ceiling feels fundamental. But the universe is not obligated to make sense to intuition. It only needs to make sense to itself. Before Einstein, physicists believed space and time were fixed. A second was a second everywhere. A meter was a meter everywhere. Motion happened inside this rigid stage. Then experiments shattered that belief. No matter how fast you moved, light always moved away from you at the same speed. Chase it, follow it, race it, light refused to obey classical logic. Einstein took this problem seriously, and instead of forcing light to obey space and time, he made a revolutionary decision. He forced space and time to obey light. The consequences were devastating for our understanding of reality. Time stopped being universal. Clocks moving at high speed slowed down. Space itself began to shrink along the direction of motion. Even simultaneity collapsed. Two events that appeared simultaneous to one observer were no longer simultaneous to another. The universe did not preserve our intuition about time. It preserved the speed of light. Why? Because if time did not slow down, if space did not contract, objects with mass could exceed the speed of light, and that is something the universe absolutely forbids. As an object accelerates closer to light speed, the energy required to push it further increases without limit. Near the speed of light, the energy demand does not become large. It becomes infinite. This is not an engineering problem. It is not about better fuel or stronger engines. It is a structural feature of reality. You could convert every star into energy. You could drain every galaxy. You could consume the entire universe. And it would still not be enough. At this point, the question stops being about speed and starts being about meaning. This is where Richard Feynman enters the story. Feynman understood something subtle and deeply unsettling. The universe is not made of solid things. It is made of interactions. Particles are not tiny billiard balls. They are events. Forces are not pushes. They are exchanges of information. And information by its very nature requires time to travel. The speed of light is the maximum speed at which information can propagate. Faster than that, and causality breaks. Cause no longer reliably produces effect. From some perspectives, the effect happens before the cause. This is not philosophy, this is mathematics. Faster than light signals allow messages to arrive before they are sent. You could warn yourself not to send the warning. You could create effects with no origins. You could shatter logic itself. The universe does not allow this. Not because it prefers order, but because a universe that allows contradictions cannot exist in any meaningful sense. Consistency is not optional. It is survival. Einstein showed us that space-time is a single structure, not separate pieces. You are always moving through space-time at the same fundamental rate, the speed of light. If you are standing still in space, all of your motion is through time. If you move faster through space, some of that motion is redirected away from time. That is why time slows down. Nothing ever exceeds the speed of light because nothing ever needs to. Everything is already moving at that speed, just in different directions through space-time. This is not metaphor. This is geometry. Light itself reveals something even stranger. From a photon's perspective, time does not pass. A photon emitted from a distant galaxy and absorbed by your eye experiences no duration between those events. Emission and absorption are the same moment. Light moves at the speed of light because it cannot do otherwise. To move slower would require experiencing time, and time is something light cannot have. Mass changes everything. Mass is resistance to acceleration through space-time. When you try to move faster through space, space-time pushes you harder back into time. That resistance grows without limit. Light speed is not a wall you hit. It is a corner you can never turn. Causality itself is structured around this limit. Every event in the universe has a past, things that could have influenced it, and a future, things it can influence. These regions are defined by the speed of light. Anything outside them is causally disconnected. It cannot affect you, and you cannot affect it. Break the speed limit, and this structure collapses. Past and future mix, cause and effect dissolve. The concept of happening loses meaning. This is why faster than light travel is not just faster travel. It is time travel. Relativity shows that if information can travel faster than light, there will always exist a reference frame in which that information travels backward in time. This is unavoidable. Once backward time travel exists, causality dies. And once causality dies, physics cannot define reality. Even gravity obeys this limit. When black holes collide, the ripples in space-time spread outward at the speed of light. Even space-time talking to itself cannot exceed it. This means the speed of light is not just the limit of particles or signals. It is the maximum speed at which reality itself can change. Quantum mechanics does not escape this rule. Entangled particles may show instant correlations, but no usable information travels faster than light. You cannot send messages, you cannot control outcomes. Causality remains intact, the limit stands unbroken. This limit also destroys the idea of a universal now. There is no single present moment across the universe. Your present is defined by what information has had time to reach you. When you look at the sun, you see it as it was 8 minutes ago. When you look at distant galaxies, you see ancient history. You never experience reality as it is everywhere. You experience reality as it arrives. Black holes show the ultimate enforcement of this rule. At the event horizon, space-time bends so extremely that even light cannot escape. Time slows to a halt from an outside perspective. Causality freezes. This is not a rule written into physics. It is geometry deciding what is allowed. People often imagine shortcuts, warp drives, wormholes, bending space. On paper, equations allow strange solutions, but reality always demands a price. Negative energy, instability, paradox. Every loophole collapses under scrutiny. Mathematics allows imagination. The universe allows only consistency. The most unsettling realization is this: you live in a delayed universe. Every thought you have, every memory you form, every moment of awareness depends on signals arriving at finite speed. Consciousness itself requires sequence. Sequence requires time. Time requires limits. The speed of light is not fast. It is fundamental. It is the rate at which reality updates itself. The universe is not a static object. It is a process, a computation unfolding moment by moment. And like all computations, it has a maximum clock speed. Remove that speed and you do not get a faster universe. You get no universe at all. No before, no after, no cause, no effect, no meaning. That is what Feynman understood, that the speed of light is not a barrier inside reality. It is the rule that makes reality possible. And once you truly see that, the number 299,792,458 meters per second stops being a measurement. It becomes a statement, a declaration that the universe values coherence over chaos, logic over contradiction, existence over impossibility. You are not limited by the speed of light. You are protected by it. And that realization should change the way you see everything. If the speed of light protects reality from contradiction, then the next question becomes unavoidable. Why does reality need protection at all? Why is the universe so fragile that one broken limit could unravel everything? The answer is uncomfortable, because it reveals how thin the line is between existence and nothingness. Reality is not held together by strength, it is held together by balance. Every physical law you know is less like a command and more like a compromise. Gravity pulls matter together, but expansion pushes it apart. Quantum uncertainty allows possibility, but causality restricts outcome. The speed of light sits at the center of this balance, acting like a regulator that prevents the system from tearing itself apart. Imagine a universe with no speed limit. Information could arrive instantly from anywhere. Every event would be connected to every other event at the same time. There would be no sequence, no order, no narrative. The concept of happening would lose meaning. Without sequence, there is no experience. Without experience, there is no observer. And without observers, a universe may mathematically exist, but it does not occur. This is why physicists say the universe is not just described by equations. It is constrained by consistency. The speed of light enforces that consistency by forcing the universe to unfold step by step, rather than all at once. Reality is not allowed to know everything immediately. It must learn itself gradually. This gradual unfolding is what we call time. Feynman often emphasized that nature does not care about our desire for simplicity. Nature only cares that its rules never contradict each other. Faster than light motion would not merely be a faster version of motion. It would be a fundamentally different category of existence. One where the distinction between past and future dissolves. One where memory becomes unreliable. One where cause loses authority over effect. In such a universe, prediction becomes impossible. Science itself collapses. Because science depends on repeatability, and repeatability depends on stable causality. If effects can precede causes, experiments lose meaning. Knowledge becomes unstable. Truth becomes frame-dependent in the worst possible way. This is why every serious attempt to unify physics eventually runs into the speed of light. Whether through relativity, quantum field theory, or information theory, the same boundary emerges again and again, not as an arbitrary rule, but as a requirement for coherence. Even gravity, which we experience as a force, is ultimately limited by this speed. Changes in gravitational fields propagate at the speed of light. Ripples in space-time gravitational waves do not arrive instantly. They travel. They take time. Even space-time must obey its own limit. This reveals something deeply unsettling. Space is not a passive stage where events play out. Space participates. Time participates. They react. They adjust. They conspire to preserve the limit. You are not moving through a rigid universe. You are embedded in a responsive one. When you move, time reacts. When you accelerate, space responds. When mass concentrates, geometry bends. All of it to preserve one thing, causal order. The speed of light is the thread holding that order together. And yet, from inside the universe, this limit feels invisible. You never notice time slowing down for you. You never feel space contracting around you. Reality edits itself seamlessly, perfectly, without asking for your permission. This is why relativity feels strange but works flawlessly. The universe does not announce its adjustments. It simply enforces them. There is another disturbing implication. Because information cannot travel faster than light, there are regions of the universe that will never affect you, no matter how long you wait, no matter how advanced technology becomes. Expansion is pulling parts of the universe away faster than light can bridge the gap. Those regions are causally disconnected forever. They exist, but they are unreachable, untouchable, unknowable. The speed of light does not just limit motion, it limits destiny. There are events that will never be part of your story, and events you will never influence, not because you are small, but because reality has boundaries. This also means that the universe is finite in influence, even if infinite in size. Every observer carries their own causal bubble, a personal universe defined by light-speed horizons. What lies beyond is not part of your physical reality, only a theoretical one. Feynman understood the humility this demands. Physics is not about mastering the universe. It is about understanding the conditions under which understanding is possible at all. You cannot outthink causality. You cannot outrun information. You cannot outpace the structure that allows thought itself. The speed of light is the price of coherence. And here is the final twist that truly collapses the mind. The speed of light is not something the universe has. It is something the universe is. It emerges naturally from the way space-time is constructed. Change the speed of light, and you change the dimensionality of reality. You change the relationship between space and time. You change what kinds of structures can exist. Stars, atoms, chemistry, biology, all of it depends on this value being exactly what it is. A slightly higher speed and matter would not clump correctly. A slightly lower speed and complexity would never arise. The universe is not just constrained by the speed of light. It is fine-tuned around it. This makes the speed of light not merely a limit, but a foundation. It is the tempo of existence, the rhythm of causality, the heartbeat of the cosmos, and you are living inside it. Every moment you experience is a negotiation between what can happen and what must wait. Every thought is a consequence of information arriving on time, not too early, not too late. Every memory is proof that the universe enforces order over chaos. The speed of light is why the universe tells a story instead of screaming everything at once. And perhaps the most humbling realization of all is this: no matter how advanced we become, no matter how far we travel, no matter how deep our understanding grows, we will never escape this limit, because escaping it would mean escaping meaning itself. And now comes the part most people never think about. If the speed of light defines what can happen, then it also defines what can never happen. Not because we are weak, but because reality itself refuses to allow certain stories to exist. Imagine a universe where information had no delay. Every particle would instantly know the state of every other particle. There would be no uncertainty, no discovery, no surprise. The future would collapse into the present. Choice would lose meaning because outcomes would already be known. Freedom itself would evaporate. Uncertainty is not a flaw in the universe. It is a consequence of limited information speed. And limited information speed is what makes exploration, evolution, and life possible. If everything were instantly connected, nothing could develop. Everything would already be complete. The speed of light gives the universe room to breathe. It allows stars to be born before they die. It allows civilizations to rise before they collapse. It allows thoughts to form before they are replaced. This delay is not inefficiency. It is generosity. Feynman loved pointing out that nature is not in a hurry. The universe does not rush toward conclusions. It unfolds. Slowly, relentlessly, step by step. And every step respects the same rule. Nothing jumps ahead of causality. Even the laws of physics themselves rely on this delay. Field equations describe how influences propagate locally, not globally. Nothing updates everywhere at once. The universe does not operate like a centralized system. It operates like a distributed one. Each region only knows what has had time to reach it. This is why relativity and quantum mechanics, despite their differences, agree on one thing. No usable information outruns light. That agreement is not accidental. It is a survival condition. If you could send information faster than light, you could build machines that erase their own causes, devices that produce results without origin, knowledge without learning, action without time. Such machines would not merely be powerful. They would be nonsensical. They would undermine the very framework that allows machines to exist. Reality does not forbid these things out of cruelty. It forbids them out of necessity. There is a quiet humility embedded in this. No observer ever sees the whole universe. No perspective is complete. Every viewpoint is partial, delayed, limited, and yet from these fragments structure emerges, meaning emerges, laws emerge. The universe does not demand omniscience, it demands patience. This also means that the speed of light is deeply tied to identity. You are defined not just by what you are, but by what can reach you. Your memories, your influences, your relationships, all constrained by causal reach. You are not an isolated point. You are a node in a vast causal network, connected by signals that take time to travel. Every human relationship is proof of this limit. Conversations require pauses. Understanding requires time. Growth requires delay. If thoughts could be transmitted instantly, language would collapse. Culture would dissolve. Individuality would blur. Delay is what separates minds, and separation is what makes connection meaningful. There is something profoundly poetic about this. The universe enforces distance not to isolate, but to allow structure. It enforces time not to frustrate, but to allow sequence. It enforces limits not to deny power, but to protect coherence. Even suffering, in some abstract sense, is shaped by this. Pain requires duration. Healing requires time. Learning requires mistakes that cannot be instantly undone. A universe without delay would be emotionally flat, morally empty, experientially hollow. The speed of light gives consequences room to exist. Feynman once warned against mistaking mathematical freedom for physical reality. Equations can describe many worlds. Nature chooses only those that do not contradict themselves. Faster-than-light worlds are easy to imagine. They are impossible to inhabit. And here is the final, quiet realization that lingers long after the equations fade. You are never experiencing reality itself. You are experiencing reality as it arrives. A filtered, delayed, ordered stream of information. And that stream is slow enough to be understood. If it were faster, it would overwhelm. If it were slower, it would stagnate. The speed of light is not maximal because the universe wants to be fast. It is maximal because the universe wants to be understandable. Reality is not optimized for speed, it is optimized for consistency. And consistency is what allows existence to persist instead of collapsing into contradiction. So when people ask why we cannot go faster than light, they are asking the wrong question. The real question is why anything works at all. And the answer is that the universe places a boundary on itself and then builds everything else inside that boundary. The speed of light is not a wall we will one day break through. It is the frame of the picture. Break it and the picture disappears. You are not trapped by this limit, you are defined by it. Your past exists because information could not outrun causality. Your future exists because it has not yet arrived. Your present exists because signals meet here now, at just the right pace. This is what Feynman understood beneath the humor, beneath the diagrams, beneath the equations. Physics is not about discovering how powerful we can become. It is about discovering what kind of universe allows discovery in the first place. And that universe speaks in one quiet, unwavering rule. Nothing outruns meaning. Nothing outruns causality. Nothing outruns light. And because of that, reality holds together, and now at the deepest level, we arrive at the strangest consequence of all. The speed of light does not merely limit what happens in the universe. It shapes what can be known. Knowledge itself is bounded. Truth arrives in pieces, delayed, incomplete, filtered through distance and time. And yet that limitation is exactly what makes truth meaningful. If everything were instantly knowable, nothing would matter. Discovery would vanish, curiosity would die. The universe would be perfectly transparent and completely uninteresting. Mystery exists only because information takes time to arrive. Wonder exists only because the future is not instantly revealed. Every scientific breakthrough is a victory over delay, not over ignorance. We wait for light to reach our telescopes. We wait for particles to complete their journeys. We wait for data to accumulate. Patience is not a human weakness. It is a requirement imposed by reality. Even history itself depends on this limit. Events do not overwrite themselves instantly. Consequences echo outward at finite speed. Civilizations rise and fall within causal bubbles. Stories have beginnings, middles, and ends, because the universe enforces sequence. Without sequence, there would be no memory. Without memory, no identity. Without identity, no self. You are not a point in space. You are a process unfolding in time. And that unfolding is paced by the speed of light. Consider this carefully. Every atom in your body obeys this limit. Signals binding molecules together propagate at finite speed. Forces holding matter stable respect causal order. Your body exists because the universe refuses to allow instantaneous influence. Stability is slow by design. This is why faster-than-light travel feels tempting. It promises transcendence. It promises escape from delay, effort, and consequence. But what it really promises is incoherence. A universe where effort does not precede reward, where actions do not earn outcomes, where meaning dissolves because nothing has time to become itself. The universe denies us that escape because it would be fatal to existence. And here is the quiet truth most people never hear. The speed of light is not something we will overcome with better technology. It is something technology itself depends on. Computation requires time. Communication requires delay. Control requires causality. A machine that violates these would not be advanced. It would be undefined. Even hypothetical superintelligences would be bound by this limit. No mind, no matter how vast, can think faster than information can propagate through its structure. Thought is physical, and physics obeys light speed. This means there is no final observer, no ultimate vantage point, no godlike perspective inside the universe. Every observer is local. Every understanding is partial. Every truth is approached asymptotically, never instantly possessed. And yet this limitation does not diminish us. It gives us dignity. You are allowed to learn. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to be wrong, because the universe gives you time. Time is not an illusion. It is a consequence of the speed of light enforcing patience on reality. Feynman once said that nature uses only the longest threads to weave her patterns, so that each small piece of her fabric reveals the organization of the entire tapestry. The speed of light is one of those threads. Pull it out, and the tapestry unravels. With it, complexity emerges. Atoms form, chemistry awakens, life evolves, minds appear, questions arise, and eventually the universe becomes curious about itself. You are the universe observing itself slowly. Every time you look into the night sky, you are not just seeing distant stars. You are witnessing causality in motion. You are seeing the universe respecting its own limits, telling its story one photon at a time. Nothing rushes. Nothing skips ahead. Everything arrives when it can. And perhaps that is the most profound lesson hidden inside this cosmic speed limit. Meaning is not instantaneous. Understanding is not immediate. Growth is not rushed. The universe itself insists on patience and rewards it with structure. The speed of light is why hope exists. The future has not yet reached you. It is still traveling. The past is fixed because its signals have already arrived. The future remains open because its information has not. This boundary between what has arrived and what has not is where choice lives. Without the speed of light, there would be no freedom, only inevitability. So when you hear that nothing can go faster than light, Do not hear limitation. Hear permission. Permission for time to exist, for stories to unfold, for mistakes to be corrected, for understanding to grow. The universe could have been instantaneous. It chose not to be. It chose coherence. It chose sequence. It chose meaning. And that choice has a speed. You live inside that choice. And because of it, reality holds together long enough for you to ask why. That may be the most extraordinary thing of all.